Let's start with your recent trip to Washington. You were invited to be in attendance for the signing of an executive order that prohibits transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. Why did you feel that you needed to be there on that day?
Well, we got the call from the White House, and we were the first state in 2020 to do that. So most states, either executive orders or laws, follow what we did in Idaho. So of course, every governor was saying, "Oh, I was the first. I was the first." Matter of fact, Riley Gaines was there, and I saw her. But it was interesting when Trump sat down with the executive order. He says it's kind of silly that we even have to do this. That it's an issue. I think they've got most of it solved. I know that the head of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, who was a fellow governor of mine, said, "Well, this is the law now, and it makes it simpler. We want to comply with the law." So,
the proclamation that went through the House and the Senate, you're okay with that? When we were talking about the boy, you gave a shout out to the Boise State women's volleyball team in your state of the state. Proclamation saying that.
Well, it was really unfair to the women on that team, but how else were we going to make the point? Of course, when this started, this was before the election was even resolved,
right?
And now we know what the rules are, so we won't have to do that again.
A fairness issue.
Yeah,
this is a fairness issue, right? Simply put.
Oh, and
okay. How much concern do you express and have conversations with each other about the tariffs that now are in the forefront of the second term of the Trump administration?
Well, I think the jury's still out because, the tariffs on Mexico and Canada that were, and he stated that he needed help on both immigration and fentanyl trafficking, and he got commitments from them. So, he is a business person that likes to use leverage where it will help him, and one of the things he can do by law is implement a tariff. There's other things you can do, but it's slow and you gotta pass legislation or you gotta get money appropriated. Tariffs are one of the most immediate ways to get your goal accomplished. So I think these tariffs that we're talking about today, until they're finally implemented over any length of time, we'll see what he wants to do. I actually, after he was president, had a phone conversation with him about fentanyl, and he talked about what he was doing in both China and Mexico to stop the precursor chemicals from coming from China to Mexico and then up here. And so he and I had that conversation, I think in 21 or something.
Let's talk about immigration, legal immigration, deportation. I've spoke to a number of county sheriffs saying that we are focused on the bad actors. We want the criminals. We've talked about, right. I mean, I think everybody's on board on that. We don't want the bad actors running around the streets in the state of Idaho. How do you feel about these bills that are going through, like House Bill 83 that just is now moving over to the Senate, saying that they had to amend some of it because of the concerns of the dairy farms down south and some of the home builders associations saying let's just put on the brakes, tap the brakes a little bit on this issue.
Well, Tom Homan, the kind of the president's lead on this issue, has said exactly what you said. We're going to get obviously the criminals, obviously people that are at risk. And then the issue is, if we send them back, do they come racing right back? We've got to get better border security, both a physical barrier and electronic and all those other things. I think we're going to get there, but there's some big issues that need to be addressed inside the immigration. Obviously, we have ag programs where they come for 3 years and then they go home. The dairy industry doesn't have that. If they had the same, all we're asking for is have the same program as some of the other agricultural users, that would significantly increase that. There's a lot of farmers in Idaho that get H-2A people here, the same good people, they spend their winter down there with their family, and they come up here and help on these critical needs in agriculture, and that's a good program. I don't think anybody denies that that's not a good program.